I hosted a game jam, and of course, the most degenerate game managed to win.
What is that? What just came out of the eggplant?
But this was not a community vote. I actually got 2 really good judges. Who were these judges? Well, as you may know, I'm commonly referred to as the tile map tutorial girl.
Everybody loves Godot.
So it's only natural that I go for the dude who contributed mostly to the tile maps, Groud. I also got my friend Stein to help out with the judging. You may know who he is. He's a very good shit poster. Anyway, so the judges were
Pretty solid.
But what is the Jackie Codes Game Jam? It's a 1-week jam, any engine is allowed, but you have to make a web build. And I know this sucks for people who use the mono version of Godot, but on the bright side, there's been some recent developments, and actually C# coming to the web might come sooner than you think. So this year, many people signed up, which is very amazing. But you know, this is the second year I've done it, so I know that a lot less people submit than sign up, which is, you know, it's okay. Things happen. Stick around to the end because there were multiple second place winners, and I asked all first and second place winners some questions about their experience making games, some thoughts about the game jam, and a bunch of other questions about the game jam. So stick around if you want to see that. Once the game jam started, we took it to YouTube and Twitch stream, and we began voting. And the winner of the theme ended up being It Keeps Getting Bigger. Now, I know my community, this definitely set off many alarms when such a theme won that could easily be interpreted and very easily used to create a very degenerate game. But you know, I tried to brush it off, give the benefit of the doubt. You know, we're all adults here. It'll be okay. The week of the game jam was really amazing because it was really nice to see all the people getting in the Discord, showing screenshots, seeing all the people help each other out. And not only did they help each other out in terms of motivation, but they also helped out with coding and stuff like that, and it was just really nice to see. After the week was over, the submissions were made, and I got to playing the game. So, the judging criteria for this game jam was gameplay and fun. The second was creativity and innovation. The third was theme adherence. The fourth was graphics, music, and atmosphere. And the last criteria was polish and completeness. So some advice for when you're participating in a game jam. It's super important to keep in mind the criteria, because you might go and think, I'm gonna make the most fun game and that will allow me to win the game jam. But actually, if your game is super fun, but you didn't adhere to the theme, it could really cause you a reduction of points, and that could really cause you first place. And I just want to stop and talk about why I love hosting these game jams. There's 3 really important reasons why it's just so amazing. So reason number 1 is video games are such a medium that when you create this whole universe, and whenever I play people's games, I really feel a much deeper connection to them. So that was the biggest thing that struck me last year when I hosted the game jam for the first time. Reason number 2 is it really is so amazing when people create their first game on these game jams. It's like, even if it's 1 person, 2 people, it just makes me feel really nice knowing that I set something up, that someone was able to try something for the first time. Even if the game is not finished, the fact that they actually sat down and tried out an engine, tried out game development, it's just really amazing. And reason number 3 is I actually learned a lot from playing all your games. Like playing games from amateurs, experts, beginners. It just teaches me a lot because everybody faces problems differently. Everybody has different mechanics in mind. Everyone has different game styles that they want to make. Anything that brings people together and stirs up creativity, I think, is just so important in this day and age. I was also surprised that some games were very hard to put down. You might know Pierre from Gnomes of War. I did a recent devlog about it. We made a mobile game together, and he also participated in the game jam. He brought a lot of French people. But yeah, his game, Perilous, yeah, that game, it was really fun, and it was very difficult, and I don't know how long. I need to check the footage. I think I played almost 3 hours. The problem is I really like hard games, and yeah, it was also very fun. It had a very interesting mechanic, and yeah, his game ended up blowing up on itch, and it went to the front page of itch.io to the point where he had to actually remove it from the game jam page so that he could fix bugs. So that is a good sign. You guys need to pester him to work on this game more because it's amazing. Also, you can check out his devlog. He made a devlog on the game. It's a very good watch. Check that out as well. 5 Minutes Still Big Problem was another game that was difficult to put down and was hard, which, you know, that good game, hard, that is normally what gets me. So it was nice that people made such amazing games that I could easily see those games on Steam. And of course, because of the theme, we had a game that was very... let me just it was you're an eggplant farmer and you have like small eggplant and you get this divide. Just look at the gameplay. Yeah. So moving on. So after 3 whole days it took me to play all the games, I finally got through the 35 entries, and after 1 week of voting, the winner was finally decided, and it shocked me. Even after picking such awesome judges, Mr. Eggplant Man won. It took every fiber in my body not to change the results. Unfortunately, I have some integrity, but it would have been so easy. So congratulations, Zamacor, with Enlarge Your Eggplant. In all fairness, the pixel art and the story is really, really good. This is an amazing case study to show that simple gameplay, like the gameplay part is so simple, but the story and the art carries it. Like, take some notes from this game. Yes, so Zamacor won first place, and we actually had a 4-way tie for second place, and I'll just leave it at a 4-way tie. All these games are amazing. You should definitely check them out. We have Burnout by Solar Labyrinth and Snooies. We have I Hate My Job by Not Happy Game Dev. We have 5 Minutes Until Big Problem by Chano Rubler and L'artisan Motrier. I'll put the name up. I can't pronounce that. And we have Reverse Survivors Like by Maymay. And because I want people to learn as much from such experiences, I asked the first and second place winners 4 questions. Number 1, what was your experience making games before this? Number 2, what was your goal in this game jam? Number 3, what would you have done differently during game jam period? And number 4, what are you most satisfied with from your entry? Let's hear from the contestants, from the first and second place winners, what they had to say about those questions.
Hello, I am Zam, also known as Zamaker anywhere where Zam is not available, and I somehow won the Jackie Codes Game Jam number 2 with a game about the hardship and joy of growing your eggplant. I have been part of the French RPG Maker community for a little over 15 years now, working on and off on games. I've mainly worked on collaborative games, 2 of them have been released. Polaris 03, a puzzle game, and Mumaro, a Humanity-inspired game. Never really worked on a project on my own though. I've recently started thinking about making games for real, and started learning Godot for 6 months or so. I participated to get some experience and have some fun. I've been working on a very ambitious and 2 big projects which burned me out, and I needed some breather. Also, when I saw the theme, I thought it was the occasion to do something funny. I thought about improving the gameplay along the way, because it is very bare bones as it is, but instead I polished the game maybe a bit more than necessary, especially since there are improvements that could have been made quickly. Also, the balancing of the game should have been done earlier. First tests from friends were the last day of the jam, and the progression was very wrong. I had to band-aid fix it, and it's not great. I'm very happy with the graphics of the game, especially since it's been one of my biggest weaknesses in the past. I also think the game is pretty funny, which was one of the primary goals, and I am so glad to have been able to correctly scope the game. It left me enough time to produce something complete on its own.
What was your first experience making games before this? I've done mostly game jams, so my first game was for your first jam. about a year ago. And then between then and now, I did one other week-long jam and a smaller 6-hour jam. But I don't have any other kind of longer-term projects or anything currently. Question 2, what was your goal in this game jam? My goal was to steal a programmer and have them write all of the code for me so that I could practice more art. And it worked out pretty well. So Snowies did all of the game logic, and I got to try out isometric pixel art for the first time, which was a lot of fun. Question 3, what would you have done differently during the jam period? Probably taken a day off of work. I would have liked to have added feedback that tells you the user story's generated priority and size right in the screen that you write it in. That info exists in the game when you click on things on the board, but it just isn't obvious. And we talked about adding it, but we didn't have the time, so an extra day would have been perfect. Question 4, what are you most satisfied with from your entry? Just the fact that when other corporate software devs play it, the first words out of their mouths are, "Oh God," right? There's a strong shared trauma we're trying to tap into with this, and when folks see the buzzwords and the emails and listen to the relentlessly happy music, they just get it, and it brings a smile to their face. And at the end of the day, that's all we were really trying to do.
So, question 1, what was your experience making games before this? So I started making games around 3 years ago, and I made a couple of browser games just in JavaScript before I discovered Godot at the back end of around version 3. And since then, I've made a few prototypes to test out ideas, and I've entered 4 game jams over the last sort of 12-13 months. What's your goal in this game jam? So personally, I see every jam as a learning experience more than anything else, and they're good for me for motivation. But I never go into them with an expectation of winning or ranking highly, to be perfectly honest. But in terms of motivation, when I sit down on my own, I'm thinking right, I want to make a game. I find it hard to pick a direction, and I can't make any decent progress unless I'm in hyper focus. But with a jam, when you're given a theme and you've got a time scale, it's right, let's get this done. It engages the gears in my brain. It works for me. And then for the last 2 jams, going into it, I've also thought, right, there's this mechanic or this thing that I want. I've heard about, I've seen other people do. I want to give it a go. And so in the previous jam, it was tweens. I'd never used them before, but they were all over the place in that code base, and I've used them in this jam entry as well. And then this time around, I wanted to use Sprite a bit more so that I could get the hang of it. And I'd never used typing mechanics in the game either, and I love typing games, so I was right, yeah, I want to do that. Question 3, what would you have done differently during the jam period? Overall, I'm pretty happy with how everything went, to be honest. It definitely helped that I booked time off work, so I could get a good solid 30 plus hours on it. I'd also sort of roughly planned out my time, and that helps me scope the project a lot better than I have done in the past. So yeah, my sort of plan was get the mechanics down in day 1 and 2, day 3 art, day 4 sound effects, music. So if I hit any stumbling blocks in the coding part, if that rolled over, then it's fine. I could just I could reach for asset packs for the art and the music if I needed to. But yeah, having that sort of framework in mind meant I did shelve a lot of ideas. So I was right, I'll put that over there and I'll label that with, that's a stretch goal. I'll get to it if I have time. Otherwise, it's not part of the core of the game. So my main focus was identify the game loop, flesh it out, get that working, and then see where we are. But one thing that was definitely helpful, which I think was Solar Labyrinth's idea, well, not idea, his piece of advice, was to test your web builds early on, which I hadn't done previously because I've always just kind of I've put it up and it's worked for the most part. But I did it on day 1 this time, and it did highlight an issue with loading resources from dynamic paths, which I wasn't aware was an issue on web because they actually rewrites the path structure. That would have been a problem if I'd come to deploy like on Friday and submit and it just wasn't working. So it was good that I was able to tackle that early and get a fix in before I had to rework tons of code. What are you most satisfied with from your entry? Really, I'm quite glad that I got a win condition in the game. On my previous ones, they've just kind of gone on forever, like with things getting incrementally harder as time goes by. I never had like a clear end point for the player, so it kind of feels good to have that goal, and it makes it feel a lot more like a finished piece of work, I think. But other than that, I think like the overall ambience of the game, I decided pretty early on what sort of tone I wanted from it, and I think that really helped with informing the art style and the music and a lot of the dark humour that's in it as well. So yeah, quite pleased overall. Thanks very much for running.
What was your experience making games before this? That was my first game. 2. What was your goal in this game jam? To win, to learn, to discover my limits. 3. What would you have done differently? I would have spent more time testing to find bugs and then fix them. 4. What are you most satisfied with from your entry? I managed to create some cool shaders, and I'm satisfied with how they turned out. 1. What was your experience making games before this? Before this jam, I had already made and released a few small indie games, including a full game called Brick Survivors. I usually work solo, so I handle pretty much everything: gameplay, coding, pixel art, etc. 2. What was your goal in this game jam? My main goal was to see how things would go working with Lartisan Vertrier. It was our first time teaming up, and since we want to do more projects together, the jam was a great opportunity to test how we work as a duo. 3. What would you have done differently? I would have definitely scoped down from the start and tried to make a game with mechanics that work without needing tons of content. We quickly realized that for this type of game to be fun, it needs quite a bit: multiple enemies, several weapons, a boss. And that takes a lot of time to build. 4. What are you most satisfied with from your entry? I'm really happy with the atmosphere we managed to create in such a short time, and with the overall concept. I think we made something with a real personality, which is super cool. And most of all, the 2 honk honk trees.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this. I had an amazing time hosting this game jam. Thank you so much to the judges. You guys are amazing. I could not have done this without you. Thank you so much to the contestants, and also thank you so much to just the people who were involved in the game jam, either cheering people on or anything. You guys are all amazing. I will definitely be hosting another one next year. Stay tuned. Have an amazing day. See you next time. Bye.